And the power of J Skull, you withering ninny.
Welcome everyone to the Power of J Skull. I'm your host, Jason. Of course, next to me is the bubbling boom himself, Jason. How are you?
I'm bumbling, thank you.
Thank you. I am full of energy today, mate, because I am super excited about what we're doing today.
Yes.
I mean, let's face it. When you think about Master of the Universe, you're thinking one or two characters, don't you? And one of them we chatted about last week.
Yes.
So, of course, we're talking our deep dive into Skeletor. Jason, the two episodes you chose were crackers. They really were.
I love them both so much, yes.
A lot of fun.
As much as we've been kind of thrashing 2002 for its shallowness at times, this one was a great, multi-layered, hilarious story. And of course, I have to say the same thing for the Filmation one. Just a fun, silly little romp that highlights our favorite boneheaded bungler.
And I tell you what, though, it is they're both episodes that give us a bit more about the character too. I thought, anyway, we get to know a bit more about Skeletor, and some of his strengths and some of his weaknesses are very much highlighted in these episodes.
Yes.
It'll be great to have a crack and talk about. And the first one, we'll get straight into the Filmation one, which is Here, There, Skeletors Everywhere.
I love the writer's name, Cinnamon Wingrad.
I don't know, but he was on some hallucinogenics when he came up with this one, I think. Because this is a crazy plot. And I mean, and what's the plot here, Jace? I mean, honestly, it's so ridiculous. It feels like a bit Austin Powers to me. You know?
I shall call him Mini-Me.
But hundreds of them. So yeah, let's get into it. It's basically Skeletor. Whiplash is observed, Man-at-Arms and E-Man doing experiments. And mind you, can we just point out again the absurdity of letting Man-at-Arms run free with his experiments?
Eternia's most prolific war criminal, yes.
Like,
there's a reason why he's not doing this in the palace. I mean, he's just sitting there saying, this is a secret location. We're doing a secret experiment. Yeah, because you can't do it in the palace no more because somebody's putting their finger on you now.
And the experiment, should we say, is this machine here, it's a duplicating machine. It's a replicator in some ways.
Yes.
But what it does, is Man-at-Arms. It's a pseudo successful experiment because it really only replicates things half the size. Which is kind of at that point, I suppose they thought at the end of that day, it's like, okay, we're kind of there. We've got it kind of going. We just need to double it in size. But you know what? That's tomorrow's problem, and we can deal with it tomorrow.
The guy basically cures world hunger in this episode, and then they destroy it in the same episode.
The same episode.
Man-at-Arms, he could be using his talents he could be using his talents to cure cancer. But no, let's make tiny berries.
Yeah. There's far more enjoyable in tiny berries and replacing limbs with machinery, I think, for Man-at-Arms. It gets spotted by Whiplash, which, did you own Whiplash?
I have never owned Whiplash. I need to find a version of him.
Yes.
This was definitely one of those episodes where they wanted to sell toys.
Oh, this is a toy.
They introduced so many characters pointlessly in this episode. Whiplash, thank you. Do your thing with your tail. Okay, now go away. Look, there's Cyclone. He needs to make a whirlwind. Okay, now go away. There's Mossman. He can disguise himself as any plant. Okay, now go away.
Oh man, is it me or is Mossman being played by Lenny from Mice and Men?
Perhaps he looked like they
like he's got that real kind of simpleton, big, kind of,
From his position there, he honestly looks like he's trying to relieve himself in the woods, though.
Oh well, I couldn't believe how like lower IQ they made Moss Man in this episode.
Oh, I know, because in Revelations, he's like this all-powerful force of nature,
Yeah.
wise and ageless, and here he's like, well, I'm sorry, I was just trying to take a nap, man. Go over here.
Exactly.
So I will love him and pet him and name him George.
Exactly. That's exactly who he was.
Look across the river, Moss Man. Imagine we're doing literary jokes. My goodness,
we're literally
how far
doing
we fall.
A Mice and Men, but that's okay.
It's one of my.
That's okay.
It's one of my favorite books.
It is mine too. I love it. Now Skeletor must have that machine. And it's fairly instinctive. I thought to myself, what's the reasoning behind the machine, Skeletor, at this point? Did he instantly go, I'm going to make millions of me's? Or
I'll call them
I just
mini
think
millions.
Skeletor, if he doesn't have it and somebody else has it, he's got to have it like a little 3-year-old spoiled child.
Absolutely. You have a PS5? I want that PS5. Get it for me, Whiplash.
Exactly. Now we get into the toyetic area because we get a sky chase scene, even though it's minor with the Wind Raider and the. Do I not have the pick of the other vehicle?
The Roton.
The Roton, which again, a question for you: was that a vehicle you owned?
I did.
You did. I never owned that one. Very jealous.
I actually
and you do have it.
I had Roton, and he was missing a gun for the longest time. I don't know what happened to it. Mm-hmm. And then one day I was going through an antique shop, and I found another Roton that was missing a gun. So now I own one Roton without guns and one with both guns.
Oh, sweet. So you have two.
I do. I have two.
Clearly you think it's selfish for to have two, but whatever.
I have one at normal size, and the other one is half size.
What was the point of the Wind Raider falling into Tarple?
It's called padding.
Yeah, I think so, right?
They had to pad out the plot a little bit.
Was this show came in at 17 minutes rather than 22?
I guess so. They needed to slow it down somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It was a nice little, speed bump they had to get around, and I really liked the image of He-Man flying the Wind Raider like a kite. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, and you know what? I tell you what, though, a lot of people used to say, "Oh, that's an ugly ship," but
it's beautiful. I love it.
I thought it was gorgeous. Hey?
Yeah, it's great.
But I mind just as a kid, you had Star Wars more fanatic collectors. That looks lame. Nope, it's awesome.
No. Everybody has an opinion, but yours is terrible and wrong, and you should feel horrible for having it.
Exactly. So He-Man just pulling him out of the tar against all, not only is it in tar, but the angle of the ship. Why are you dragging it that way? Why wouldn't you be dragging it from the back end out first? Why doesn't this make physics, logic, and sense? I don't know, maybe because it's
this is a TV show about a dweeb who holds up a sword and turns into a big muscle guy who looks the same, but nobody knows it's a different person.
Yeah, well,
I mean, honestly, why are we even bringing logic or reason into this? He fights an effeminate skeleton with his best friend, who's a floating dishcloth, and
yeah. Well, you're right. You're 100% right, Jason, as always, and that's why we probably have the Brewstein Bears part of
I was going to say the Robert Burbles.
Good call. Absolutely poor choice in the way of design, because really, He-Man, as much as it is very bright and colourful, it's very rarely do they go to that type of animation style.
They're so adorable, though.
They are adorable.
Look at their little pear-shaped bodies and their Care Bear-like physiques.
But that's a design that belongs in Care Bears, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And Care Bears are popular. He-Man wants to stay popular. Let's put some Care Bears in He-Man.
It's true. And you know what? To be honest with you, this is the 116th episode of the series at this point. So we are getting to the back end of let's throw in everything we can to keep people going, to keep the show going.
I don't know if you noticed, but He-Man and She-Ra, they shared much of the same music, but She-Ra had a few new musical scores that they used,
Yeah.
and those scores were being used in this episode because you could almost hear that dun 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 a couple of
Yeah,
times,
yeah,
especially whenever they
almost.
were in the attack track going over the cliff and everything.
Yeah,
You're
yeah. It
just
actually
you're just
stuck
hearing
out.
She-Ra da 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 da
Yeah.
da da. So I don't know if they were just like if they were just testing the music here just to see what it sounded like. I don't know if
Well,
maybe they had the plan to spin off She-Ra into her own show at this point.
I just thought the music really stood out
Yes,
poorly in this part. You
it
know what I
really
mean?
did. It was
Like,
out of place.
it was out of place for sure.
And but did you notice Mechanic also had a different voice?
He
He was no
did.
longer a cyborg. He was like a Looney Tunes character now.
Yes. And there is, you know what? Looney Tunes is something we'll bring up later in this episode because I feel
Okay.
like Looney Tunes is not only in this, but in the next episode a little bit too. But let's get to the wacky side of it. The best side of this whole episode is this. Is him replicating
Don't
mini
speak to me
versions
or
of
my
himself.
children ever again.
Unbelievable. And when he's doing it, I'm just like, this
He
is
looks so
nuts.
proud of himself.
Like he was a proud dad.
Look
And
at
I'll
my
tell you
little
what,
evil minions.
he was
You're all so
prolific,
adorable.
because there's one part of the episode where they ask where Skeletor is, and he's back at the castle pumping out more replicas the whole time. Like that's all he's doing. He's basically just giving birth to another mini version of himself. And it made me thought.
So
made
many
me think-
inappropriate jokes I can make right now.
I know, but it made me think, like, it's just like a multiplicity kind of thing. It's just like a Xerox scenario. So if one of the little ones copied himself, is he then half the size?
Yes.
And then, so we could get a whole Babushka dolls thing of happening with Skeletors. Because that's the only way you take this episode.
That would
one
have
step
been
further. That's the
amazing.
only way.
Have like a little millimeter Skeletor. Look, it's a little millimeter. I like trains. Oh.
And the smaller they get, the more diabolical and evil they get, I think. So the
Kinda like
littlest
the way
one
that-
is the most
Kind of like the way
evil
baby
one.
scorpions are supposed to be the most venomous, the tiniest Skeletors are like, well, we
Exactly.
defeated Skeletor. We win. Not so fast, He-Man. I'm inside your bloodstream, giving you cancer. Oh my God! That's
And look at him go. There's the replicator. He wants more. Give me more. Give me more. But yeah, crazy stuff. And eventually, obviously, we get the little mini showdown here. Well, mini showdown, part of the pun. But Mechanic really serves no purposes, but like, I'm a bit scared here.
He distracts them. You know, he's so annoying that all the Skeletors point their weapons at him at one point so He-Man can get away.
Yeah, I suppose.
And
that's what
honestly,
it
I know
is.
normally that would be like, oh, how could they be that stupid? No, I get it. I
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
get it. I would do the same thing.
They coordinate. I dig the fact that these guys coordinate quite well. They work together. At this point in the episode, they're working quite well as a team together.
Yes.
Like, so I'm a bit shocked at the ending when it's just a simple Jedi mind trick that turns them all against themselves. I was a little bit disappointed.
Skeletor does not respect the power of teamwork.
Yeah. I don't know what it says about how he thinks of himself either.
He's
may have some more deeper issues to deal
well,
with.
He-Man says it himself. He's selfish.
Yeah.
That's how they defeat Skeletor. They use his own personality traits against him. And that's one of the reasons why I chose this episode into our deep dive, is because Skeletor did not get a whole lot of as much as I love Bonehead, he did not get a whole lot of character development. This is one of the few times they actually went in and said, what makes Skeletor tick and what can we use it against him? Well, he's selfish and doesn't really think of long-term goals, because really, once he conquers Eternia, what's he going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the dog chasing the car, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's the old Joker line of, I wouldn't know what to do if I caught it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think Skeletor does either. I think
No,
he'd be like
no.
Megamind, just sitting there being all bored and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs the chase. He needs the hunt.
He
to
does.
survive. You know who we didn't get a lot of, though, even though you mentioned him before, but I had him as a toy. And I really liked him as a kid as a toy. He would be one of the He-Men I would pick up quite a lot. as a kid.
Well, he spun. He was cool. I don't think I ever had one, but my friend did.
Yeah. Now I can't remember what his trick was though. I think it was just
I think his waist kind of did that. He
No,
had
I
something
don't
on
think
his
it.
chest.
I was trying to remember whether it did actually, where it would actually spin 360.
I don't remember. It's been so long. I want to say like his top half spun, and he did have something in his chest, but I can't remember what it was.
On his chest that span, like a hypnotic thing that spun in his chest.
Okay.
But yeah, we get really wacky here until we get basically to a Skeletor cocktail party.
Yes, I want to know what their conversations were.
Which I thought was hilarious. That it's just in the lobby of the turn. I mean, at this point, they've taken over a turning, and they're just hanging out in the lobby.
What are their conversations like? I like evil. Do you like evil? I like evil. Do you like evil? I love evil. Do you hate Beastman? Oh, I hate Beastman. You know who I hate more than Beastman? He-Man. Yes, He-Man.
Yeah, I'm pretty well much. I think that would be the case.
I'm just going to say it right now. At least 2 of those Skeletors went into a dark corner and started making out.
Oh,
you know.
They would have.
You know.
Because Skeletor thinks that highly of himself.
Yes, yes.
Of course.
There was some inappropriateness going on right there.
Do you think these guys made out, though?
They didn't have time.
No, they didn't have time. But holy crap, how cute a mini He-Man.
Look, kids, these are available at Kmart right now.
You know what? I got to say, I don't remember being in stores, but if they had sold them, I think I would have bought them.
I totally would have bought them.
Because he looks awesome no matter what size he is.
He-Man and the mini He-Boys.
Yeah. I totally would have got into it.
Do you think they had an existential crisis? Like they knew the second that they threw that duplicator that they were going to disappear. They never even questioned it. You know, basically there's a mass genocide that happens here. All these sentient beings just disappear like Thanos snapping. And nobody thinks anything of it. Were they copies or were they extensions? That's the problem. We don't know. Yeah. It's a gray area.
Mr. Meeseeks, except the Mr. Meeseeks wanted to die. That was their quest.
Yes, but
here these guys are more is acceptance. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
I'm here to serve a purpose. That's it.
I like to think the 2 Skeletors that were making out, realized what was happening, going, I'm scared. Hold me.
Do you think they escaped and built a little cottage up on?
Oh, I don't know. I like to think they did. But
and they had about good 10 years until someone found them. So then they had to go on the run across the street.
Holding hands together as they drive a Roton off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
Together, Skeletor. Together.
There's the sequel, dude. We've got the sequel sorted out for Masters of the Universe.
Be like Thelma and Louise, only it's Skeletor and Skeletor.
This episode really should not have worked. But it worked. It worked in the best fun way possible. It was silly. It was Looney Tunes. It very much reminded me of those kind of elements. But done well. And you're right. We got to know a bit more about Skeletor. And he was, he's a character that, as much as one note, we got to see one of his biggest failings here. We got to see his biggest flaw is his selfishness.
Yes.
Which is pretty awesome, I thought.
Yes.
So,
selfishness, arrogance, name it. He's got a bunch of them.
Yeah. Now, how do we want to do this? Do we want to play the moral for this episode now, or do we want to play it after we talk about the second episode?
Let's play it now.
I agree with you. Let's get it on now.
Today, we discovered that getting what you want isn't always a good thing. When we like something, particularly something sweet, it's easy to want more and more. But nearly every time, if you have too much of something, no matter how much you want it, you'll find that it disagrees with you. So next time you see some candy, remember, you can have too much of a good thing.
Except me, of course. Right, Man at Arms?
We'll talk about it later. See you next time.
Now, is he saying that too much Skeletor was sweet? Or I don't get it.
This was the one moral that felt very like they very thinly attached it to the episode. Like, I think they were struggling to make the connective tissue here. Because basically the message I got out of that is don't be a pig, don't be a glutton. I don't know if Skeletor was trying to be a glutton in this episode.
I don't know. And they were using the berry, and I'm like, it's a berry. It's not like it's candy or anything.
No,
Trying to make
that's right.
Cringer look like a jerk just because he's going vegan with a healthy choice. I mean, come on. You're not going to sit there and scream at a kid because he's eating too many strawberries.
It did feel like, don't eat too much candy, otherwise you're going to have violent diarrhea and it's going to hurt.
I had violent diarrhea this morning because of that berry.
By the way, how difficult do you think it was for him to get out his lines as Cringer? Because Cringer had some lines in this episode.
Yes, he did.
Especially in the beginning, he had to. Well, if you really want it, like I can't do the voice, you can, but there's some difficult line readings, I think, in that one for sure. 100%.
Yes.
Well, that was great. Let's move on to now the next one, which was Turnabout. 2002. Skeletor focused episode. Chase, your initial impressions of this episode.
I thought it was hilarious watching Skeletor be the manipulated one for once. Watching the Masters be proactive and going after Skeletor in what I thought was the most hilarious way possible. It was almost like a frat practical joke.
It felt like Acme Company made the belt. In some ways, it very much snuck of a Coyote Roadrunner kind of plan, but it works. Like
it did, and it was just.
Before we get into that, Jace, how's the callback in the beginning of this episode?
Oh, the Diamond Ray of Disappearance.
Well, it was the Diamond Ray of Disappearance.
It's broken. What do you mean it's broken?
There it was. And I thought, oh, wow, they're doing the Diamond Ray of Disappearance. And then, boom, they destroyed straight away. So, existential question then, bigger question. Does this mean that, A, this is an alternate universe attorney, all right? This completely different timeline. This solidifies any doubt that you may have had whether this was a reboot or not. This is an utter alternate universe. It's completely different from anything Filmation's done.
Yeah, it's an alternate universe, and I'm sticking to that supposition.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I don't think it ever shies back from that, but I love the fact that they were kind of take those little elements from the Filmation series and they play with it and have a bit of fun with it. Because it's a pretty solid weapon. Let's be honest with you. Skeletor's right in the beginning, like, hey, it's the ultimate weapon, and I can, I'll be taking over the castle by midnight or something, what he says. So it's true. Wielded by a half-competent Skeletor, that thing is extremely dangerous.
And I honestly think that if this version of Skeletor had gotten his hands on it, that he would have been a force to deal with. And
yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Would have totally been able to.
100%. But, that's just the opening of the episode. It's a nice little opening. I think 2002 series do this a little bit, don't they? We always seem to pick up at some point in the previous adventure. I think they keep that trope kind of going, which I'm a big fan of that. I like that.
Yeah, gets things going
episodic
quickly.
kind of approach. Now, look, basically the plan. I can't remember where the plan comes from.
It comes from Ram Man. Because he says, if Skeletor wasn't so evil, he might be a kind of a good person.
That's it.
Then of course, Man-at-Arms is like, I have an idea full of all kinds of ethical questions.
An idea that relies on an unknown element that he has no idea. Like, all he says is, I've got an idea, but I think I'm going to need help with it. Right?
Well, yeah, and then he goes to the sorceress and says, hey, I got this idea. Do you have anything that'll help? Oh, yes, I have this lake water that only comes around every 10,000 years. It's just been sitting on a shelf in the back of the castle, and it's where I keep all my senses, but you can have it.
Yeah. And basically, he builds, I should have got rid of that image. He builds this belt.
Yes.
Now, the idea around the belt, this is where the hilarity comes. The idea that this belt will attach himself to Skeletor and force him not to do evil doing.
Yes. If he even
that is straight out of
something evil. Yeah. It's a Pavlov dog's experiment. If he even thinks about evil, it punishes him.
Which is nuts.
Which is super nuts. And I love it.
You know, I'm thinking of the writer's room here, Jace. I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to pitch you an idea. What about a magic belt that stops, Skeletor being evil? And I can just image all these cups being thrown at the guy who pitched that idea, you know? All the leftover plates of food go, oh, that's the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. And I tell you what, he was right because it works really well.
It was amazing. I think I laughed more at this episode than anything else. I don't think Skeletor's been more pathetic or hilarious.
So he builds the belt, right? And then here's the shocking thing. He sends Prince okay, well, Man at Arms knows, right? But from Teela's perspective, it's just like, oh, so we're going to use the Prince's bait now. Is this kind of what we do here? We're not going to...
Adam is a master, though. He's one of the masters. So, I mean, it's his job.
I mean, is Adam a master at this point?
Yes. Yes, he is. Adam is one of the masters.
Okay. All right. So he's not just Prince Adam at this point. He's a master. So yeah, you're right.
He's like the mascot or the water boy, but you know, it's like you may just be the master's water boy, but you're a master. So go on this very dangerous mission where you could get killed.
Yeah, I was just surprised that Teela would be like, oh, okay, well, it is what it is. But she's really not a fan of Adam.
When he runs off, I mean, come on. Now it's like, oh, yeah, okay, you're going to come with us? Cool, come on.
Cool. Yeah, true. Well, you're annoying anyway. That's the worst thing that happen. You're going to die, and then I don't have to deal with you anymore. So.
But if we go on this mission, Adam could get killed. Great. What's the downside?
So, yeah, he's used to bait, gone to a corner. Skeletor's riding the... What's he riding? I know this vehicle. It's based on an original design. God,
I'm not sure I know this one.
No, anyway, the idea is to set him up, and we do the old Obi-Wan Anakin. I've got the high ground, Anakin. And he gets shot out of a thing. This belt you can see in the middle of that inner circle, a belt has attached to him, which is awesome because immediately Skeletor, being Skeletor, fires off.
Yeah,
he's not impressed.
This poor guy took so many nut shots in this episode.
And
many.
His animation style looks like it though, because when he keels over, it looks like he caught one right in the family jewels.
Yes.
Sure.
Oh, but you got one. You grazed it, but you got it.
That's it. Every time he says something, man, he's gone down. I mean, the wave of it's not even a small shock. This shock. Like literally raptures his whole body when he gets shot. Hey, it's great.
He sees Jesus whenever that goes off.
Yeah, but and the thing is, what I love about it too, he doesn't learn quickly.
No,
he constantly, no matter what, can't help himself.
He's an evil holic. He can't help it.
There's a tiny little shot in this episode, which, as you know, because I'm a massive Evil Lynn fan, that was so delighted. It's basically based after when he gets electrocuted here. They cut to her with this look on her face, which made me laugh so much.
The evil masters were enjoying this so much. Yeah,
it was great. Guys, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
I'd never seen Lion-O in Master Universe. Was this a full legit character that was released?
I don't think so, but I mean, given that we had the Robert Rebels in the Filmation one, sure, why not?
Why not? It seems so off-brand, though, isn't it? Maybe it is on brand. I don't know.
I don't
maybe
remember
it's just the way they drew it just seemed like, we're on a different show now. Thundercats have been rebooted.
It's like Lion-O and Mufasa had a baby together.
But you know the way they played it in this episode? They played it like he was of some significance. So that's why I was asking whether we'd seen him before.
I don't think we did, but it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of these 2002 episodes. So maybe we did.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Fair enough. Evil Lynn just trying to be Evil Lynn. You know, I don't have the images here, but even early in the episode, when he's kind of having a freak out, she's just hiding around the corner behind the pillar. I don't know, I just like that. She's smart enough not to be right in his way.
Yes.
She's always watching. Always watch.
Evelyn
I
is
love
smart in every one of her
Ah,
incarnations, and I just love that about
yeah.
her.
Is this supposed to be an analogy for something you can catch if you're not a good boy? Flying crabs? A swarm of flying crabs?
See, my brain doesn't go in that direction, but now that you've mentioned it,
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. The thing is with the concept, if it's a pretty when you bring swarms of, we've seen it in Star Trek, we've seen it in lots of other shows where you bring swarms into it. I always love it because it's a threat that's not always easy to write yourself out of. You have 5,000 of those things coming at you. It doesn't matter your sword or your anything. You would think, nah, man, you're toast. Like, there's just no way you can battle them all off. How do you think they handled this odd concept of the swarm?
I think they handled it okay. There were a couple of kind of cheap
What did
moments that I did see, but overall, I thought it looked good.
It
Usually, the
did look good.
2002 movie, the 2002 series was really good at hiding its little shortcuts. There were a couple of times that were giveaways here, but overall, I think that it looked good.
Yeah. I kind of gave away the big bit there I was going to get into. But I like the crabs. I did like the flying crabs. They felt threatening. They felt like, I don't know, the easy way out of it. And it wasn't like, kill the mothership and they all kind of disintegrate. Well, did it? Maybe a little bit like that.
Like
but,
a big bug zapper.
Yeah. Just a giant bug zapper. But what I did give away was really the whole title of the episode, dude. It's called Turnabout. And it's called Turnabouts because what you do to Skeletor, mate, he's not let that go. He'll do right back to you.
Yep.
And
honestly, they should have seen that coming.
Which, exactly, but it's genius. I got to say, it's genius. And one of the funnier parts is like, now He-Man can't do any good deeds without suffering an extreme amount of pain.
Yes. And of course, He-Man is nothing but good, so he can't even fake it. So it was a little unfair.
Yeah. And that it was a little bit unfair, but still, what an interesting concept. I don't know what that says psychologically, what the writers are trying to say here, is that we're going to put both people are going to suffer as much as they possibly can in this episode to just be themselves. Because essentially that's what happens, But He-Man being He-Man, he ain't fucking around like.
Yeah, he can beat anything by just screaming and go, kaboom, bug zapper.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I loved when he did rip it off. The sheer magnitude of the wave and the damage that it did. Like that was a powerful chess play, hey.
I thought it was very considerate of the wave that it didn't hurt like anybody on the ground, just like, I don't know. It went
just
around
kind of knocked
everybody.
them over.
Yeah.
It felt more like if you had an iPhone or an Apple Watch, it might have gone seized out on you.
I'm sure. Mech and Neck probably couldn't extend his neck for a while. Yeah.
That's why the belt that's how I felt, was more like an electrical kind of current thing that had knocked out. Which is okay. And convenient then that, that's why Skeletor got out of his, So unfortunately, as much as this show really leads up and has a great concept, unfortunately, the end of it, it's pretty wrapped up and very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly and not really a lot of logic. It's just like, we're out of time, kids. We got to get out.
Time for a moral. Yes, whenever you're writing an episode, you should really plan pacing better. I did like this part, though. This was fun.
Yes.
Because it was
I was brought that up, Jace, because I thought you might have something to say about this, because I was delighted by it.
Yes. Poor Triclops, though. He was the one who was just trying the entire time to help Skeletor, and he gets punished anyway.
They are really treating like Triclops in this 2002 series kind of like the younger son from Succession or the lawyer son from Yellowstone. Like, I don't know if you've seen either of those two shows.
I have not, but I've
heard
Yellowstone's good.
They are like one of the smartest characters in their respective shows, but they are treated like absolute garbage all the time. And I feel they do this Triclops quite a bit, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, the poor guy, he's so smart. And, at one point he almost takes over Eternia all by himself by using a device that Skeletor said was worthless. And then Skeletor punishes him.
Yeah.
It's like,
unbelievable.
Guy a break.
Unbelievable. So I don't know why the writers have a bug up their butt around this character, but they certainly do. I think
You got me.
Triclops.
You got
Somebody
me.
didn't like it as a toy when they got it for Christmas, or
No,
something
Triclops
happened.
was awesome.
Triclops was awesome.
He was.
Let's have a look at the moral of this story. What do you think?
Oh yes, let's
have a look.
There's no force in the world more powerful than goodness. And when you practice kindness, it not only helps others, but it gives you a good feeling inside. Until next time.
Okay, the moral is be good.
There's no force better than goodness. Poof. What about a bullet, He-Man?
See, this is again more evidence where the 2002 series really didn't understand the moral concept.
No, they really
And
didn't.
even though we didn't have a real solid one from the Filmation series, that still is the gold standard when it comes to telling morals. At the end of it, they've gone too big rather than keeping it small, more practical. We were upset at Filmation's going like, basically telling them not to eat too much candy. But that's the type of area and level you need to be relate to kids. Like, how do you I don't know how that moral makes any meaningful impact on a child whatsoever.
Absolutely none. None at all.
There you go. But there you go. They were the 2 episodes, Before we come back to our next segment, which is our Power of Jasper casting call, let's have a look at a commercial from back in the day.
What do we have here?
It's Castle Grayskull. And it's mine. Not so fast, Beastman. He-Man!
You can pit He-Man against Beastman playing for the power of Castle Grayskull. You have to put the castle together.
Beastman's escaping.
What's wrong, Dad? Dad, you saved the castle.
Castle Grayskull from the Masters of the Universe collection. He-Man and Beastman each sold separately from Mattel.
That had to be one of the original commercials, I think, Jace.
Yes.
And notice, who was it in that episode? The man that you're holding right there, and we're just about to talk about those characters, is Skeletor. But I never saw that commercial. That was the time. Do you remember seeing that as a young child?
Do remember seeing that commercial because that's the commercial that made me beg and scream and cry to get a Castle Grayskull.
Yeah.
And I was successful.
When I was a kid, what really dragged me into Castle Grayskull was, I remember going, the front of it looks cool. But to me, the selling point of Castle Grayskull was all the activities within the castle. The chair with the trapdoor, the little carrier, the whole deal.
Yeah.
That was a big selling point to me. Now you've got them there. Let's you've got a few Skeletors. I want you to talk
I do.
about
I have
them,
more Skeletors than anything else because Skeletor.
How many Skeletors do you have?
Well, let's see. I've got the big Skeletor right there, which I'm not going to get him down because I don't want to knock
No.
down.
We can see a little
then
bit.
I have about 3 or 4 of these little Funko Skeletors.
Yep, the Funkos.
And then I have a little Snake Mountain here, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
I have Battle Armor Skeletor, which he's the one that you punch him on the chest, it gets damaged.
I definitely had one of them.
I love that gag. It's so great. I have got the Revelation Skeletor.
That is a beautiful looking
Skeletor.
I gotta say. Now
the
that's
Havoc
been
staff
released.
is just so
this year,
amazing.
Last year's release.
This was the they released 2 of these. They released this one and then they released Skelegod, which I don't have Skelegod because I don't know. I like the figure, but I can't justify spending almost $40 for it. So I'm waiting for it to go on sale somewhere else.
That's a beautiful piece.
This is the 2002 Skeletor from the Origins line, which to me does not look like the 2002 Skeletor, but
the face sculpt is completely wrong.
It is, and it's the wrong color because 2002 Skeletor was white. He wasn't yellow.
Yes.
And then this is the Keldor Skeletor, and I love this one because I love the cape.
Yeah,
the cape looks really
I actually
cool.
love the neck chest plate.
Oh yeah,
too. I really like that.
Yeah, He just looks cool, and you're supposed to display him with the Keldor head, but I like the Skeletor head better, so I have fun with that.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, my most recent Skeletor is from the Netflix series, which
which we will get into a lot deeper as we go along. But
I love the Netflix series.
You know what I like about
And
that is
he died.
Angle.
Okay.
Oh no,
He's
so
fine.
Your millions of Skeletors are trying to escape.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. My little army of mini Skeletors. That would make me the big Skeletor. Come, my minions, quit making out with each other.
Oh man, like if you're the toy makers out there, why don't you look at making a mini versions of them? Because I'm telling you, the fan base out there would buy it. No doubt.
Yes, we would.
Absolutely.
You could make them actual size.
Okay. Now, one of the responsibilities we have on this show, Jace,
Yes.
is that Hollywood, for some reason, the president of Hollywood has given us a budget to make a Masters of the Universe film.
Yeah.
And our task is to grab these characters and try to cast them as best as we can in a segment that we call the Power of Grayskull Casting Call.
Do you find me arousing?
A casting couch there, which I'm not a fan of. So. So who goes first here? Would you like me to go first? Or would you like to go first?
You go first. You go first.
Okay, mine is I look at Skeletor and I think about what kind of film version of Skeletor would I like. And I like the devious, the cheeky, but the almost aristocratic element about Skeletor, which I kind of dig. And so for that, it wasn't that hard because this guy's been fan cast all over the place over the years. Actually, for his most famous role is probably because of fan casting in some ways. And I'm talking about Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, I love Bing Bong Cumberbund. He's awesome.
Now, you brought up something prior to the show when we had a brief chat about this, Jace, and that is the idea of, and I agree with you, that Skeletor's face in the movie should be CGI. We've discussed that. Yeah. We've spoken to ILM. We're going to contract them.
Yes, because he's basically just a skull. He's got no flesh. He's got no eyeballs. He's a skull.
That's right. Though he has some red LEDs that fire up when he gets
only when he's mad though. That's when you back away and hide around the corner like Evil Lynn does. Like, ooh, there's the highlights.
But even as a performance art and a mocap artist, which he would have to play that role in that sense, I think Benedict Cumberbatch has the right kind of poise about him and the right personality for me if I was going to cast him.
Oh yeah, Jelly Bean Bandersnatch
based on a very vanilla and interpretation of what I would think. So, but yeah, I think he would be great. I know they've tried to fan cast him as a Grand Animal Thrawn. He'd probably be great at that as well.
Oh, he'd be amazing as that.
But I don't know. I wouldn't mind the idea of an evil British Skeletor in some way. And if they were going to do an origin scene or an origin story about Skeletor, I think he could really pull off Keldor quite well. So that's my reasoning. I think it's Benedict Cumberbatch. Jace, yours.
Well, mine would go the CGI route, and we would only need voice only. And keeping in mind, Skeletor is elderly compared to He-Man. Skeletor would be in his 60s by the time He-Man is a hero. And I would figure that we would need a Skeletor with a very sinister, gravelly voice. And so my pick for Skeletor, voice only, would be the legendary actor Tony Todd.
Wow. Now that is a choice from left field. Yes. I would not have picked this a million miles. Why Tony Todd? What is specifically about Tony Todd that says to you Skeletor?
Tony Todd has a very growly voice. He sort of talks like this quite a bit. And I think as he's aged, it has gotten even better. I actually fan casted him as the voice of Smaug in The Hobbit. And I said, I know he's not British. Choice. Yeah, I know he's not British, but I think he would be an amazing Smaug, which ironically was played by ironically played by Jelly Bean Cumberbund. But anyway, I love Tony Todd's voice. I think that he could be sinister, but I also believe from his work in the Final Destination movies that he can add a little bit of humor into the role and really give a Skeletor interpretation that would be both true to the Filmation era, but also something new and something cinematic.
I agree. And you know what I'm going to say too? If if you're thinking that Tony Todd is limited in his range, I
Oh,
don't
no.
think you've ever watched a lot of Tony Todd. Tony Todd, throughout his career, it is stunning the diversity that he is able to
Absolutely.
portray as an actor. You know, very much, I think he's a victim of general audience stigma.
Yeah,
Sometimes
he's been typecasted quite a bit.
he's been typecast where he probably deserved, as we know, much, much more prestigious roles, but was just unfortunately never given that opportunity.
Yes.
But he is a force to be reckoned with.
He is. But I think that,
and he would definitely bring the gravitas to it.
Oh, absolutely. But Beanlick, Camberband, and Tony Todd would be outstanding choices for Skeletor, and I would be 100% behind each one of them.
I think it's hilarious that they're finding themselves in the same casting room. First with Peter Jackson for Desolation and Smog, and now they've been
well, you know.
for Skeletor in our casting room for Skeletor. Well, that's a tough one. I would like to see if anyone out there who enjoys the show has an opinion on it. I'd love to hear what people out there kind of
Absolutely.
think. We might put it up on our socials.
But we could always bring back Frank Langella or even Alan Oppenheimer. Alan Oppenheimer's still around.
Yeah,
Mark Hamill did a great
do something
Skeletor
with his voice, but
hey,
I think
you know what?
Point, you've got
I don't want to give a spoiler, but Alan Oppenheimer pops up in the CGI He-Man unexpectedly,
really,
and things happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a massive tease.
Yes.
I'm going to be asking a million questions about that afterwards.
Yeah, and I will smile and refuse to answer.
Now, Jace, we have got an announcement that ends this little mini series of deep character dives for now.
For now,
we're taking a hiatus for this. Like this series will return. It has to return, Jason.
Absolutely. We have the Christmas special coming up soon.
And well, that was a couple of things we were going to announce. On the week of Christmas, there is the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special, which we'll be doing a bonus episode for that. That will be brilliant. But starting next week, Jason, we start our journey through to She-Ra Princess of Power, the Netflix series.
Yes. The best Masters of the Universe spinoff ever.
Here we go. Now, as you know, if you've watched the series at all, guys, if you go back early on, we watched the first couple episodes of this, and I instantly went, oh, we're dealing with something quite different here. We're dealing with
very next level.
Yeah, it's a tier up than probably what I was expecting, and the way of quality, and like it's very much, these are the quality writers.
Absolutely.
Behind it. So I'm very excited to deep down this. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of split the seasons in halves. So each season we'll do 2 halves on, being that next week you will assume that you've already seen the first 2 episodes and seen our review, and we'll go and fill in another half of the season up to, I don't know, just over halfway. So it'll be about 5 or 6 episodes each one we'll talk about. But I'm super excited, Jace, to jump down this rabbit hole.
I am too. I'm really excited to revisit this series because it was, as you said, it was something special. Next level.
It's something different.
Very
and
unexpected.
by the sounds of it, you've alluded many times to me that there are twists and turns in this series and things that happen which are going to be, put it this way, quite profound at some point.
Yes.
So
my favorite type of stories are the ones that grow beyond the concepts of good and evil. And that's really what we see with She-Ra, along with trauma and abuse and self-worth and esteem and all kinds of themes that just keep popping up. And of course, it's funny as well. It's funny, it's endearing, it's sweet. It's got some great action in it. I'm really looking forward to revisiting this entire series.
You know what? All I can think of is the Filmation series is very much centered on that generation and sending positive messaging to Generation X, to the children that is Generation X. Now it's like, it feels like this show was more designed for the millennial children, giving them the lessons and the understand things that are relevant today that maybe weren't relevant to us back as children. We had different hurdles to overcome. These guys have got other ones, and I feel like this show, from what I've only just sampled of, feels like it's definitely aware of its place and its time. Yeah, so good stuff. Can't wait.
Yes.
Really excited. That starts next week, Jace.
Yes, it does.
Excellent. We'll bring it on. Well, thank you guys for watching as always. I'm Jason, and that is Jason. Of course, you can find him mainly. He's all over the place on social media. During a corner in social media, there he is. But TikTok's probably where your biggest fan base is, and Facebook. And check him out at Jason Roy Gaston. And you can find me at VHS_Jace. I, like Jason, will be playing with my He-Man figures shortly too. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week on
The Power of J-Skull. Stop doing that. Stop.
I was just about to end the show, Jason, but I can't because you supplied me with a special bonus clip.
Yes. Yes.
Oh. So before we end the show, guys, we got a big thing we're going to share with you. Jason, can you just quickly explain what this clip is we're about to play out?
Okay, so I was recently shown this clip on YouTube, and as we all know, the voice of He-Man is named John Irwin. John Irwin is a very private person. He does not do interviews. He doesn't do appearances at conventions or anything like that. And you know, the He-Man fan base is very respectful, and we leave the guy alone. During the 80s, however, John Irwin got a request, and it was from a little boy named Joshua who was fighting a disease in the hospital. And Joshua just wanted He-Man to be his friend. And so John Irwin made a video for Joshua, or a recording for Joshua, I should say. And get your hankies out, grab your hearts, because this is amazing.
Hello, Joshua. This is He-Man. Somebody told me how much you enjoyed my adventure stories, so I thought I would send this special tape to you. It's yours to keep and play whenever you like. You know, Joshua, I have a lot of problems here on Eternia, but with the help of my good friends, I'm usually able to work things out. That's the way it is with friends. When everything is fine, well, it's great to have them around, you know, to help share the fun, the good times. But when I have a problem, well, that's when I really need them. It's not that they can always do something, but it sure helps just having them there, having a friend to talk to, somebody who really cares about me. Friendship, well, it's a very special thing. And that's why I'm sending you this message. I have a favor to ask. I'd like to be your friend. Well, I'm sure you have a lot of good friends already and a wonderful mother and father who help you work out your problems. But you can always use another friend. I know you can. Besides, I need a friend on your planet Earth. I mean, someone I can count on. Someone who can count on me. So how about it? Joshua and He-Man. Hey, I like the way it sounds. Wait until I tell Orko. Oh, I almost forgot. Orko, Tila, and Man-at-Arms made me promise to say hello to you for them, and they send their very best wishes. As for Cringer, well, he wanted to tell you himself. Cringer? Cringer? Come over here, Cringer. Now Joshua's listening to us. You want to say hello?
Hello, Joshua. Nice to meet you.
All right, Cringer. You know, it's time for us to go, and time for you to become Battle Cat so we can find out what Skeletor is up to.
If you don't mind, I'd rather stay here and talk to Joshua.
No, come on, Cringer. Sorry. Sorry, you old fraidy cat, but we do have to go. Well, Joshua, we're off for another adventure. I've sure enjoyed talking with you, and I hope we can do it again soon. But for now, I'll leave you with these words. So long, friend.